Coronavirus pandemic, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has reported 403 new cases of COVID-19 in the country, bringing the total of confirmed cases to 16,085. The breakdown of the new cases shows that Gombe has 73, Lagos 68, Kano 46, Edo 36, FCT 35, Nasarawa 31, Kaduna 17, Oyo 16, Abia 15, Delta and Borno 13 each, Niger and Rivers 7 each, Enugu and Ogun 6 each, Kebbi 3, Ondo, Anambra and Imo 1 case each. The NCDC says of the 16,085 cases, 5,220 have been discharged, while 420 have died. Meanwhile, figures released by Africa Center for Disease Control shows that coronavirus cases in Africa have reached 234,071, while 107,875 patients have recovered. 6,336 have died from the virus. In other news, all governments and international community have been urged to exercise global solidarity and step up action to effectively prevent and protect older persons from physical and psychological abuse, including neglect. Newly appointed UN independent expert Claudia Mala made this statement ahead of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which is being marked every 15th of June. She said older persons have become more visible in the COVID-19 outbreak. Their voices, opinions, and concerns remain unheard. Mala noted that with the number of older persons dying in homes, hospitals, and institutions growing exponentially all over the world, it is disheartening to continue to read cruel and dehumanizing language on social media referring to older persons. The UN expert observed that the derogatory comments in the media are a direct attack against the dignity of older persons, as Boomer Remover hashtag attached to coronavirus posts calling for older persons to sacrifice themselves to save the economy or to safeguard younger generations by exposing themselves to the virus are a clear reflection of bias against older persons, adding that policies based on ageist attitudes should stop. Miss Claudia Mala said societies must raise their voices against verbal abuse, and older persons, especially women, must be included in the discussion on prevention of all types of violence against them, noting that verbal abuse often occurs in tandem with mental, psychological, physical, sexual, and financial abuse. And still from the global scene, from Manila comes a report that Philippine journalist Maria Resse has been convicted of cyber libel and sentenced to prison. Now, the conviction on Monday was in a case that media watchdogs say marks a dangerous erosion of press freedom under President Rodrigo Duterte. Resse, 56, and her news site Rappler have been the target of a series of cases and probes after publishing stories critical of Duterte's policies, including his drug war that has killed thousands. The award-winning former CNN journalist faces up to 6 years behind bars in the culmination of a case that has drawn international concerns. Those are the stories we have at this time. Thanks for your time.
This is the network service of the NTA.
We as ministers in the Temple of Justice.
For anyone on the bench of the Nigerian judiciary, this chamber is the ultimate.
Let us all strive to maintain the independence of the judiciary so as to ensure the rule of law.
And the fact that the ministry is responsible for prosecution of cases makes the ministry very visible naturally.
If it is to buy time, you know who is buying time.
Becoming the first woman in the country to discharge the function. To me, Allah wished it that way.
Welcome to the program, The Scale of Justice.
Tune in every Monday at 2:05 p.m. and Virus comes up every Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. on the network service of the NTA. Keep a date with us.
The coronavirus pandemic has forced a change in almost everything in the world, the way we live and the way we seek our livelihood. As a result, we too have had to respond to these changes. But while these responses in some instances are swift and intuitive, others must be structured and planned. In the area of the law and justice, changes are not allowed just by mere fiat. It must be legalized and legitimized, at the least through legislation. I suppose this is the situation that has been in the mind of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, when he called a conference of Attorneys General of all the 36 states of the Federation and heads of courts across the country and the FCT to work out ways the justice sector can respond to the new trend COVID-19 has caused. The conference, which was held by virtual means, of course, another response to the changing times, is going to form part of our focus on the scale in this edition. Welcome to the program. I am Femi Okeowo. Even before now, reforms have been an integral part of Nigeria's justice system. But more so now, with the coronavirus pandemic changing the mode of various activities. The virtual conference organized by the Federal Ministry of Justice brought together the Attorney General of the Federation, Attorneys General of all the 36 states of the Federation, heads of courts in the country and the FCT, and the Solicitor General of the Federation. Areas of the nation's justice system which the body will tinker with in the light of the influence of COVID-19 include virtual court hearings, decongestion of correctional centers, particularly of awaiting trials, decentralization of correctional services, and implications of various legal and statutory measures on our justice system and their constitutionalism.
The purpose of this virtual meeting is to provide the platform for engagement and articulation of our collective views on the issues arising from COVID-19 pandemic and harmonize our resolutions on the way forward. The advent of COVID-19 and the efforts to manage its spread and reduce the human and economic devastation occasioned by the pandemic has made it imperative to adopt systems that will reduce the physical presence or involvement of persons in the judicial process through the deployment of technology to achieve the same objective for which physical presence was intended. However, there have been arguments as to whether the application of virtual court hearing meets the constitutional requirements of fair hearing. I am of the view that this meeting offers an opportunity for further discussions on the issue and a common position taken. This is without prejudice to the ongoing deliberations in the National Assembly to amend Section 36, subsection 2 and 3 of the Constitution. As stakeholders, we have a duty to ensure that the pandemic is not allowed to grant the administration of justice machinery to a halt. We must continue to forge the needed synergy and collaboration to administer justice in the face of the pandemic and align with global best practice. In order to respond to the challenges posed by the pandemic, the Federal Ministry of Justice is currently improving on its ICT infrastructure to enable the ministry carry out its duties. Toward this end, the ministry has completed the establishment of ICT studios and the deployment of Galaxy backbone dedicated lines that will facilitate the prosecution of criminal cases as well as the defense of civil cases using the virtual platform. As the biggest law chamber in Nigeria, and if not in Africa, the Federal Ministry of Justice must continue to lead the process of innovation in the administration of justice. To complement this effort, the Nigerian Correctional Service is also being engaged on the establishment of studios in the correctional centers to make it possible for evidence of suspects in custody to be taken without their physical presence in court. This will ensure that the administration of justice is not disrupted. In addition, ICT is being introduced in the receipt and processing of correspondence between ministry and the general public to further minimize the person-to-person contact between officials of the ministry and members of the general public. The NCS is currently working with the Ministry of Interior to finalize the guidelines for managing the centers. In addition, judicial officers are advised to be cautious in granting remand orders except in exceptional circumstances and subject to the guidelines to be put in place by the Ministry of Interior and the Nigerian Correctional Service. Furthermore, we have developed an implementation strategy for the Nigerian Correctional Services Act 2019 through the installation of an ICT-enabled national criminal database to promote effective information management in criminal justice administration, decongestion of correctional centers, and non-custodial measures. In order to put in place enduring measures for effective management of correctional centers for the reformation, rehabilitation, reintegration of the offenders back to the society, the decentralization of correctional service in the country has been proposed. This will allow states to effectively participate through the setting up of their correctional centers to manage offenders who commit state offense, while the federal government will continue to manage offenders who commit federal offenses. These measures, no doubt, will address the problem of congestion in the correctional centers as witnessed presently. This virtual meeting offers the opportunity for my colleagues to share their perspectives on the proposed reforms of correctional services in the country. I also consider it most appropriate to utilize this forum to appraise our state chief law officers on the concerted efforts being made by the federal government to strengthen our judicial and democratic institutions for the benefit of our people. There is no doubt that a stronger and efficient judicial system is quite critical to the attainment of the anti-corruption drive of the current administration and the overall improvement in the administration of justice. In furtherance of the foregoing, the federal government constituted special committees to achieve its cardinal goals as follows. 1. the Committee on Implementation of Directive on Designated Corruption Prosecution Courts was constituted to actualize the directive of the Chief Justice of Nigeria to heads of courts to designate specific courts for the prosecution of all corruption-related cases with the aim of fast-tracking their completion. This will improve both the human and technological capacity of the courts, which will also rub off positively on the emerging trend of conducting virtual hearings. 2, the Committee on the Review of Judicial Salaries and Conditions of Service was constituted principally to ensure that the welfare of our noble judicial officers reflect current realities. The committee observed that compared to other public servants and political office holders, there has been no commensurate increase in the salaries and allowances of judicial officers for over 10 years. The committee's recommendations include a proposal for a structured increase of adjustment in the salaries and allowances, housing, medical needs, and retirement benefits, amongst other welfare provisions for their lordships. While the recommendations are awaiting presidential approval, I urge you as stakeholders to also engage in advocacy to bring this reform to life, since state judiciaries will also greatly benefit from it and indeed take advantage of the approval of the autonomy of the state judiciary to see how the welfare of the judicial officers can further be enhanced.
As part of the interaction, Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, Justice Ishaq Bello, gave a perspective into the multifaceted implications of COVID-19 on the future of administration of justice in Nigeria. Justice Kashim Zanna, Chief Judge, Borno State High Court, took participants through the benefits, challenges, pitfalls, and lessons of virtual hearing in the Borno State Judiciary. Professor Akinseye George did an appraisal of the implementation of the remand protocols in the Administration of Criminal Justice Act as concerned the case of awaiting trial inmates.
The Honorable Attorney General is bringing all of the critical stakeholders together, attorneys general and chief judges. And these are the two people who can change, who can solve the problem of overcrowding of the correctional centers with awaiting trial inmates. My paper makes clear that with effective oversight by chief judges, effective oversight by attorneys general, that is the executive and the judiciary. These are the heads of the executive and the head of the judiciary in the states. If there is effective coordination, we can solve the problem of overcrowding of our prisons with our waiting trial population, because our waiting trial population in our prisons damages the integrity of our criminal justice system. It is not consistent with democracy for you or for us as a democratic country to continue to keep people in prison who have not been tried, particularly in this period of COVID-19 pandemic, when there must be social distancing. The opportunity to maintain social distancing is not available in the prisons because the prisons are overcrowded. The space available for each prisoner is so small. So we are proposing that we should adopt thoughts that are outside the box. We should think outside the box. The traditional methods we have used have not worked in the last 30 years, and they are not going to work. What are the traditional methods we have used? Jail delivery by chief judges, setting up special presidential committees, we call them decongestion committees. These things can only scratch the surface. It cannot address the root cause of the problem. Because the presidential committee, for example, will not recommend that people who have been charged with capital offenses, they should be unleashed on the society. That cannot be recommended. You can only release those who are either aged or those who committed minor offenses, and so on and so forth. So what we need to do, therefore, is to repair the broken chain of our criminal justice system. The criminal justice system has 7 principal components. The first component is the public. That's the investigators and informants. Without the support of the public. And what that does is that it provides information to law enforcement agencies. It helps to prevent offenses or offenders. So that's a fundamental approach. Then that connects, that flows with the investigators who are well-trained, well-supervised. Investigation of cases must be under the oversight of attorneys general because they are all part of the executive. And that's what the Constitution says. Attorney General is in charge of the criminal justice system from the point of view of the executive. Then that flows to the prosecutors. Even in agencies where you have investigators and prosecutors under the same roof, like under the anti-corruption agencies, it is a tall order to make them to cooperate. But where the head of the institution says, you guys have to work together, then we are moving towards speedy trials. And if investigators and prosecutors are together, you can have day-to-day trial. Before you arraign a suspect, the witnesses are ready.
Presentations were also made by attorneys general representing each of the 6 geopolitical zones. Our next item on the program is an assessment of Nigeria's justice sector under the Buhari presidency in the last 5 years. One thing President Muhammadu Buhari will be noted for is his signing of executive orders to further press home the need for the implementation of any particular policy. This is one of the areas we are delving into as we do a series of justice sector evaluation in the last 5 years. Our guest today is Dr. Hassan Liman, Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
We are lucky as a nation from independence when we had military interventions. From 1999 till now, we have an uninterrupted civilian administration. The present regime came into power 5 years ago. And as we know by our constitution, there are 3 arms of the government: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislatures. Though the Ministry of Justice is part and parcel of the executive, but when it comes to the issue of justice, though the judiciary is standing as an independent arm of government, when it comes to the issue of justice, but the executive, through the Ministry of Justice, that's the Office of the Attorney Generals of the Federation and the states, vis-a-vis the Nigerian judiciary, I will say that we have done a lot, and this administration has done so much in terms of justice reform and carrying the banner of administration of justice to greater height over and beyond what we used to have in the past.
Now, when you talk about the banner of justice, one of the areas that is fast emerging in Nigeria is the signing of executive orders by the president. Let's talk about the legal basis for it.
You see, the Nigerian Constitution gives the legislatures the power to enact law, and the president assents it, and it becomes law. Laws, when made, are executed by the executive in furtherance or in the exercise of the executive powers of the president, in giving effect to the necessary intendment of the legislation. For instance, if you take the provisions relating to the fighting of corruption, you have the EFCC, in which the EFCC and the Establishment Act is there. You have the ICPC, in which the Independent Corrupt Practices Act is there. But they carry out their duties in accordance with the provision of the Act. Wherever there are some difficulties or lack of clarity, I must say with all sense of responsibility, and you need to carry out swift and rapid execution of those laws to give the necessary entendlement of the provisions of the law, to accelerate the due execution of that law. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has the power to issue executive orders, and that is exactly what this President has done in the last few years and even the last few weeks.
Yes. Talking about the last few weeks, he just signed an executive order 10. Did we need an executive order in that area, particularly when the Constitution already so provides?
You see, the Constitution has provided that these arms of government, the legislatures and the judiciary, especially at the state level, I know as a fact that at the federal level, do implementation or do remittance of the entitlements of the legislatures and the judiciary is normally not meted in accordance with the provision of the Constitution. At the federal level, that problem is not there. Okay. So in ensuring the compliance and due implementation of the provision of the Constitution as regards the right or due entitlements of the legislatures at the state level and the judiciary at the state level, the President, what he has done under the executive order is to ensure the due enforcement of that provision of the law. By his oath of office, he has sworn to ensure the due compliance with the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What he has done, he has not done anything outside the law, but to ensure that there is due compliance. So by giving directive to the Accountant General of the Federation and the Minister of Finance, is just to ensure that those provisions of the Constitution are met. But we have a problem whereby, with the greatest respect, state governors, after these monies are remitted to them, they are just expected to remit it directly to the accounts of the state legislatures and the judiciary. But most of the states, despite the provision of the Constitution, despite the decision of a court of law, still sit on the remittance or the budgetary remittance of the judiciary and the legislatures. So what the President has done it within the ambit of the Constitution.
Let's look at justice dispensation generally. Has it been swift enough, in your opinion?
Justice dispensation, if we compare what has happened in the past and what we have in the present, I will say it has been swift.
The idea behind examining past performance is to help project into the future. We shall continue this assessment in the coming weeks. Thanks for availing us your time this week. We shall see you again.
This is the network service of the NTA.
It is said that a journey of 1,000 miles actually starts with a step. In life, you must encourage yourself at every point you find yourself. You just keep telling yourself, I can do it, I'll keep moving. And when you get to that point that you have always desired to, you look back and then you realize how far you have come. Through the struggles, the pains, the challenges. Welcome to Against All Odds on the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, a program that brings to your doorstep hope and inspiration. Here, we tackle life issues. My name remains Dushma Pius Ikerafe, and we will be back very shortly. Don't go away.
This is Against All Odds.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, the program is still Against All Odds on the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. And of course, today, my guest is Professor Richard Kimbi, the Vice Chancellor of University of Agriculture, Makurdi.
Life, they say, is in stages. A popular saying, be nice to people while climbing up. You can't tell who will help you when climbing down. Professor Richard Anandi Kimbi, born into the family of Mr. and Mrs. Kimbi of Te Tiwesha Aga Aondo in Katsina Ala local government area of Benue State, is married to his beautiful wife Veronica Kimbi of Batiaf Boko local government area in Benue State. Their union is blessed with 6 children and 9 grandchildren.
Got married as soon as I graduated. I had a lot of encouragement from my parents to marry early, but I knew that if I married early, I would not be able to pursue my academic endeavor. So I resisted that. But as soon as I got a job in December 1985, I married in 86. Since then, we've been very happy. And of course, you are also seeing the grandchildren here. And I feel lucky and happy that God has given me grandchildren, many of them. And I'm believing He will give me more.
Professor Richard Kimbi and his wife took Against All Odds theme through their journey of uncertainties, pain, laughter, tears, hard work, dedication, determination, and above all, the power of prayers.
My mother was left to cater for 4 of us at that time. Altogether, we are 6 now, 3 females and 3 boys. It was not easy. It was farming that was the occupation at that time. Subsistence farming, not big farming at that. And mostly it was granules, yams, beniseed, pepper. Those were the sort of things that we used to crop. And granules basically was the crop that we used for paying my school fees. It was not easy at all. But my senior brother, I have to thank him so much for the role he played in my education. He even delayed his marriage just to make sure that I got up to secondary school before he married. And my mother was also very, very hardworking. And luckily, she was not sick, so she was strong, always very helping us. And our sisters too, the 2 of them, they are all older than myself. In fact, it's only the 3rd one that is younger than myself. They were very, very useful. They were all married, and they also contributed one way or the other. So it was not easy, but as I told you before, it was through sheer determination, both on my own side and of my mother and my brothers.
In his youthful years, Professor Kimbi, during holidays, joined his mom, brother, and sisters to farm groundnut to assist his education. Fashionable clothing and other social distractions were not his priority. The willpower to achieve and attain success was always behind his mind. After his primary education, he attended St. Michael's Secondary School at Liede and further moved to University of Jos, where he graduated with first-class honors in mathematics in 1982.
83, I did my service at then Akwa Ibom, Cross River State, now Akwa Ibom State. That was the time they started this university, around 1982. So a year after that, that was 83, I got a job here as a graduate assistant. It was not as if I planned or to even teach in the university. It was circumstances. Because when I finished secondary school in 1977, I joined the Federal Office of Statistics. I started work there for 3 months, and then I got admission to the University of Jos. And against the wish of my mother and brothers, I went to university because they felt I should work and help. But I was looking forward to getting a degree so that my pay may be improved. From a poor family, I actually was looking for higher education so that I will improve my earning to help my mother and brothers. My father died before I even went into primary school. So the idea was to have someone in the family who would help my mother, who suffered so much bringing us up. And I even chose the course, mathematics, because it was a 4-year degree program, which I thought was not long enough. Otherwise, I could have gone into medicine. I had all the qualifications to read medicine. But that was a 5-6 year program, and that was too much for me. So I went for a shorter program so that I would finish, come back, and then work and assist my parents. I was motivated by some young men who came in as graduate assistants, the likes of now Dr. Ashwe, who eventually left the system, Dr. Ayu, Dr. Ova, now a professor in U.S., and Professor Tachia, who is also in U.S. Those were young men who came in when I was about graduating, and I immediately took to the law for academics. And so when I finished my service, I wanted to go into academics, and that's how I got employed.
The university environment in the 80s was a period of academic strikes and long period of unpaid salaries. He faced much responsibilities and challenge. His wife proved her love to him through her tireless assistance at all times.
When we start, we don't have anything, and many people look at my husband is nothing, and some even call names. Who is this man? So that he's a graduate from university, degree with first class, they don't know. After a long time, this VC Lodge, I'm farming the back of the VC Lodge when Gangan is here. I'm farming the back of VC Lodge. It's that farm that's sustaining us, me and my children. And my husband left me at Uruku and go back to school. We are managing ourselves, me and my children. We started seeing the other VC before Ganya, Adachaba. And that time, sometimes they will not pay them 6 months. And we will manage like that. Many people know us here. Many staff, they know us. So I thank God for that, because when I marry, there's nothing. I even selling things in the market, selling this granite, Gandhi egg, this chicken many things selling in Wurukum market. They don't know that my husband is a graduate. Sometimes when my husband collects salary, he will enter the market and give me some money to buy things for children. Sometimes that money will not come. But we manage. We didn't quarrel, we didn't fight that no money, nothing. When I married, no even bed, but we manage. Now, I don't know the amount of bed that I will buy, the amount of motor I can drive. But before, no motor, nothing. Even keke, no keke, nothing. We manage, we trek from junction to federal housing. From federal housing, sometimes we even trek from Junior Greek to federal housing, we trek. We used to trek. Some people see us, I even pity if they will not carry us in their motor. Say, I see that dirty woman with bush things. And this kind of woman cannot carry inside my motor. It's too dirty. With dirty clothes, dirty things like that. But for me, I trust in my God that one day I will be something. The other day, from this lodge, I even harvest corn. When I come to security house here, they say there's no space here to me to hide myself. And rain beat me, security pursue me, rain beat me. All those words I didn't forget, but I love people, I love everybody. I forget all those things, I forgive everybody. They know themselves. Many of them, they know themselves. We are still together in this university, they know themselves.
Indeed, beside every successful man has been a woman. Life is unpredictable. The same University of Agriculture, where her husband worked as a graduate assistant, Mrs. Veronica Kimbi today is the wife of the Vice Chancellor. She remembered, in a bid to support her husband with what she knows how to do best, farm work, suffered insult, humiliation in the hands of the same people who call her First Lady today.
We are one in God because God is the head of everything. It's God that pushed us to come and stay for this lodge. It's not by our making, it's not by ourselves. So I have to thank everybody.
In her prayers, she always asked for a brighter future for her husband and family. She believed that one day her son will shine. Richard Ananda Kimbi, in 1987, furthered his education for doctorate degree in philosophy at the University of Ibadan.
My first degree, second degree, and then the third degree.
Professor Richard has had over 38 publications in reputable journals, both local and international, including 18 paper presentations in various conferences. He has been able to supervise to completion 27 master's and 7 PhD students. He has mentored several academic staff who are today not just professors but vice chancellors. Professor Richard Kimbi was former Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Agriculture, Makurdi. He has banked several awards and commendations. In climbing the ladder of success, Professor Kimbi kept desiring for more excellence. And so, in 2005, his dream to become a Vice Chancellor ignited.
I started first at BSU. I failed. There they take you to Senate, you talk before Senate, and after that they select 6 people who eventually go for interview. I didn't go through. I was very far. You know. Then the second one, I came third, and then this other one, I got it. So it's and when it is your turn, when it was my turn to get it, it was not difficult for me at all. You know, I had the support of almost everybody. The number of years of service were even on my side. They said a professor of 10 years. And I beat so many people who were not up to 10 years. And that is where so many people dropped. They say that God's time is the best. Just rely on that. If it's your time, if it's God's time, you get it. If not, you leave it, But that's not the end. You can also serve in other capacities. When I made an attempt 2 times, I didn't get it. I was still serving as a professor in the university.
On inquiry of his past and present endeavors, here are some views.
Working with him has made me to appreciate the worth of the other officer. I knew him before he became VC. He's been a neighbor, he's like a family friend. So, but then even people that don't know him before, when you get to meet him, you are at home. He's the kind of person that listens. You know, it's a virtue to be able to listen to people around you. When you listen, you will take a better decision on any issue. He's considerate, he's humane, and I am inspired to emulate his humility, his consideration for others, and his care for others.
I have learned that from him, that one should listen to others. To be a good leader, you must listen to others' opinion and improve on your own wisdom. I also seen a lot of kindness in him. Many a times students will behave somehow, but he will still accept them as a father. So that has been a great thing. And God has helped a lot. He has been able to work with the students without having a lot of crisis.
Humble and calculated, Professor Kimbi and his wife very active in the cultivation of grains and livestock breeding, and that has been their passion since youthful days.
Someone will feel that now that you've gotten to this point in life, where of course your husband is the VC, you're comfortable.
Yes.
Another woman will say, me, I cannot do farm work again. I'm done. I have suffered enough. Now for me to just sit and enjoy. But look at you. Even with this position, you're still there doing your farm work, and you have a lot of produce to that.
Because it's not good to just sleep and last. Because I have old friends, and I have old woman, I have refugee, I have plenty people to take care of. My husband people and my people, old mothers. Sometimes I will pack those corn, those rice, and share to them, and they will be happy to me. They will still bless me. My child also, when they bless me like this, I will be happy and give them more.
The mistake we make is that farming is not important. But you see, everybody must eat. Food comes from the farm, and if you have the opportunity of having land around you and you are producing food, it will save you a lot of problems. Because this money we get from salary, you will end up buying food with it. And if you look at the crowd around me, I have police, I have security, other security agents, I have my own children, I have staff. In fact, we are not less than 100 people that I'm feeding here. And although the university gives a token to assist me, I do the majority of the feeding comes from my own resources. We have this vast land around us. As a VC, I also want to show people that farming is good and it can be done. Perhaps part of what has endeared us into farming is because of our background too. We were farmers. I told you it was through groundnut farming that I was able to pay my school fees. So if you give me an opportunity, I will continue to farm. And I know that when I retire and I'm alive, I'm strong, I will still farm.
In spite of all their very busy schedules, family affairs has always come first over all engagements.
How do you feel about now, life generally? Your children are all grown up, you have grandchildren, your prayer for your husband has pulled through. You're still praying for him for even greater heights and all that. How do you feel about everything generally that has happened to your life?
I feel good because God has blessed me too much. Even the wedding day, my Reverend Father that preached, he say, Mommy, you will see your children. Say, I'm just seeing my children. I'm waiting to see my children.
What I love about Grandpa is that he's kind and careful. Grandma, she's careful. She does everything correct at the right time.
I learned much from my parents, from my mom and my dad, most especially the love and care our daddy gave to us, the respect he gave to people around him, which is a copyright of what we copied from him. We respect neighbors around us, mostly the old ones and that of my peer groups.
We had an opportunity of visiting their main home.
This is where I stayed before I got the job of Vice Chancellor. And then we eventually moved to the lodge, where this is still my own place, and I'm always here. I welcome visitors here.
If I was to be giving birth again, I think I would wish to come from there. Both my mom and dad, they are very nice people. He's a very unique person. His way of life is special. He's not moved by maybe what people have or what they see. He does his things freely and allow God to work in his life like that. In the office, we work in office like the boss and the employee. Not like a father and daughter. He's nice in the office. He treats everyone equal, especially during festive time. He gives everybody things equally, not minding whether you're a senior or junior staff. He's just nice.
I've known him for about 7 years now, and he's a very hardworking man, dedicated to his work, and he's not a man of too many words. So he's a loving and caring father. I've been seeing people, but for him, his own integrity is second to none. I'm not used to all this farm thing, but since I came around, I've been able to know lots. Like my mother-in-law here, when you are looking for a great farmer, she's a very wonderful, great farmer. She farms a lot. Sometimes when I visit the farm, when I see what she's doing, I will not believe it. At her level, we're supposed to supervise, but no, she will even do more than people that are working there. So they are wonderful farmers and very hardworking.
I didn't rush. With my grandmother, that this man passed through my house and see me with my grandmother. And if you send children and guests now to stay with your grandmother, they will refuse. So I'm giving them this advice that if your mommy send you to go and stay or do all day with your grandmother, be happy. The grandmother will bless you and you will get better husband.
To me, poverty makes you to even work harder. If you are poor or if you are surrounded with poverty, you work hard and get out of poverty. Genuinely, it is not by criminal means, because criminal means will rather pull you down and your life may even be short. But if you work through genuine means, you can definitely get out of it by genuine means, because you have a target, you go in there, achieve it, and move on and move out of poverty. All these great people you see all over the world, they were very poor people. Here in Benue too, if you look at the history of most of our people who have succeeded in politics or in academics or in other areas, they were all poor people, from poor families. So this notion that I'm poor, so I have to do something criminal to get money or to get wealthy is not really the solution.
Thank you very much for letting us into your lovely home. If only we realize that life is in turns and circles. A landlord can become a tenant overnight. We will be careful how we treat that pauper on the street, that person asking for favor, that man you drove past under the rain and still splashed water on. We would not behave like the world is ours. As against all odds worked out of the Kimberly's home, forgiveness and humility kept playing in my head.